Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss about if you ever had any issues with broken studs from the upper strut mounts, aftermarket strut mounts. And not too long ago I was working on a 2015 Toyota Sienna, and I recently replaced the front struts with the Monroe quick struts. So these are the old ones. I'm just using this as a test example. So the issue was that I snapped one of the studs for the strut mount. The aftermarket strut mounts are not really designed to handle the factory OEM torque specifications. If you have the original strut mount for the vehicle, like a brand new one, then it's okay to follow the torque specs on those ones. But for the aftermarket mounts, I realize it's not a good idea to follow the torque spec for those, because every time I follow the torque spec, either the threads on the studs they strip, or the studs they break in half on me. So my personal advice is to just tighten these up snug and just like okay tight. These don't really need to be extremely tight. You just need to tighten it up until it's good, and then you're all good to go. Because every time I try to use a torque wrench on these, the studs they end up breaking or stripping. So if you guys have ever gotten to the situation where you broke one of these studs, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So what I did is I hammered out one of the old studs on the other strut, and I cleaned it up. I cleaned all the rust off, and I pressed in the old stud onto the new strut, and then I was all good to go. I just want to show you guys a demonstration on how it's done. So what I did is you can use one of the nuts that come with the quick struts, or if there's any nuts that come with the struts, you can use that, but have some spare ones, because I'm going to hammer this one out, and I'm not going to reuse this nut, because this nut is going to get damaged. Now the stud here and the nut is an M10 by 1.25. So this is the diameter is a 15 millimeter hex, but this is from a Toyota. They typically use a 14 millimeter hex. That doesn't matter as long as the thread pitch and everything is the same, and then you're all good. So I'm just going to put this nut on top, and I'm just going to hammer this out. I'm going to hammer this out. You need to use a hammer. Now this one is awfully rusted on badly, so you just have to keep trying until the stud comes out. This one, it came out. It's awfully rusted. Now if you're not able to get the stud out, you can just turn. You can turn the mount a little bit. this turns, so you're able to turn it if you're not able to get the stud out of here. So now I got the stud out. This is very similar to the ones that you would find on the wheels, like this one here. They work in a very similar fashion. They have the ridges at the bottom in which it presses in. Now in this situation in which I'm reusing the old one, sometimes I need to run a thread chaser a little bit on the threads because of the hammering. Then I would be able to reuse these. So here's the old stud that I snapped off here from the quick strut. So I'm going to see if see, this old nut is gonna be garbage. I'm not going to be reusing this. So we're going to put that aside, just use a new one, and just going to see if it threads in okay here. If it doesn't thread in, you're going to have to use a thread chaser to fix the threads, and you would be able to reuse them. So I'm just going to thread chase or to retap the threads here. I'm using an M10 by 1.25 dye. So I'm just going to spray a little bit of the penetrating oil. You can use engine oil or cutting oil. It doesn't really matter. So we're just going to run this through. It's just the top part that needs to be fixed here. So it's not that much of a big deal. It goes in relatively easy. That should be okay now. So if you want, you can just clean up the rust and everything if you want. I'm just showing a very quick demonstration here. So now we are just going to press the stud back in again. So we're going to put the stud like this back in. You may need to turn the strut mount if you're not able to get it in. So you're able to get it in from underneath. So I'm going to turn it like this. So I have the stud in here. So I'm going to press this in. So you'll need to use a large a nut of some sort. So you're able to get it through here easily. And then you can use the nut that comes with the strut. Or if you can get a nut that fits onto the threads. So we're going to hand tighten this, and then you can just use an impact of some sort or a cordless ratchet, and then you just need to tighten up the nut, and you will be able to press the stud in. So now I'm going to press this in. You just need to make sure it's straight. And you'll see on how the mount, on how it moved, That's how you know it's pressed in now. Now, I'm just going to take this out. And you're all good to go now. And now it's pressed in all the way. So it's like new. You just want to make sure that you do this outside the vehicle, because if you snapped off the stud while it was inside the vehicle, you will need to take the strut off the vehicle and do it here, because that's probably the only way and the best way to do it. So after you press in the stud, and then you're all good to go. You can just reinstall the strut. Just be careful when you are tightening up the nuts here. Just tighten them snug, and then you're all good to go. So hopefully, I just hope that I'm able to help a few people out there or so if they ran into the same problem, because I ran into this same issue and I was a little frustrated, but I started to think a little bit, and I found out that I could just reuse the old studs and press them in, and then that's it.